Standard stuff in relation to the next version, which is what we're going to be playing on. Soren is joining us today. He's in the country and was interested in playing games with people while he was in the country, and so we're going to be doing some of that, and we'll just see how it goes. I guess we could point out real quick the new game modes that have gone in while people maybe get updated and so on and so forth from there, which are the majority buyout option, where as soon as you have 6 stock in an opponent, you successfully buy them out, and the destroy buyout option, where corporations are destroyed and then the headquarters remain behind. All of their claims and buildings are refunded, and the player who bought them receives 5 new claims, right? Regardless of what level they were at. Right. Just 5 new claims, and the ability to a short period where they can exclusively claim the tiles that were taken from the destroyed player, from the defeated player. So, we'll just have to see how all those pan out. Yep. And I'm tempted. What were you going to say?
Did you talk about the majority stock option as well?
A little bit. The 6 out of 10 option.
Right.
Yeah. Can you do both of those? Like, can you check them both off and they'll both just work?
They're independent of each other.
Right.
I mean, these aren't really intended to be options. It's more like this is a way for me to radically change the game without theoretically screwing up the main game if people hate it.
Yeah.
So, just kind of how reveal map went, and now we're kind of in this weird period where people like it, but I'm not necessarily certain. I don't necessarily want to throw away the old scanning. So,
yeah.
You know.
And some people like the old scanning better, so that's just the way it is.
I think, I mean, I think if you play with a ton of players, like in an 8-player game, like I don't necessarily think reveal map is the way to go there. But
yeah, fair enough.
Guess we'll see.
All right.
Well, that was fast.
Well, yeah. Well, it's part of the point of starting the stream a little early, talking for a minute, just make sure that people can get up to date, and then when we go to get started, we can definitely get started. So I'm going to go ahead and put on reveal map here. And since you were asking to do stuff with us today, is there anything in particular you'd like to play?
Well, I'd like both of those options on.
You just want to try both of those options?
Okay. Yeah, sure. It's nice to be able to, like, we're still trying to work our way through what's the best way to do early access. And it's nice to have this next version option because we've been playing it and the destroy buyout options for the last couple days, and getting feedback from the team, but now it'd be great to get feedback from sort of the core community as well.
Exactly. All right, and yes, for the question in chat, we are getting started a little earlier today because trying to fit into Soren's schedule just a little bit better.
Yep,
was the basic idea, so that's why we're starting early. All right, everybody's ready. We have 4 people in here.
Okay, I'm going to I've got an awkward microphone headphone situation, so I can't hear the game. I'm actually Skyping with you on my phone, and when the game plays, it'll be over my speakers, so I'm going to probably mute myself during the game.
Okay.
But if there's anything crucial comes up, I'll just unmute myself to talk to you about it, okay?
All right, sounds good. I might... Well, maybe you can just listen to me through the Skype call. I don't really know. It's up to you, I guess. You can mute listening to me or not mute listening to me.
I don't know if it would improve, or I mean, if it becomes weird, I'll probably just turn it off and we'll talk after the game.
Yes, sounds good.
All right.
All right. Yes, this is kind of beta 6. It's the next version. No, I don't stream every day, to answer real quick questions. And I stream most days, and you've got somebody posted the schedule right there. All right. Everybody's readied up. People are waiting. Let's go ahead and get started. All right. Not a lot of aluminum on this one. In fact, there's one patch. There's literally one patch of aluminum, and that is it. That is so tempting to just destroy and be a complete jerk about, and I might just have to do it. I might just have to do it. It might just be one of those games. I could even try going expansive in that corner and trying to make it work. There's some iron not too far away. It could happen. It could happen. Soren's going to be listening to me this whole time and like, oh man, what's he going to do? And that's just part of the fun of it, isn't it? Just sitting here like, yeah, Soren, I might just get rid of all of that. How do you feel about that? Debt ticking down a lot slower now is an interesting detail. Like, I'm not feeling the need to rush. It's really going to be a really fine balance, because now I feel like I have plenty of time to look around the map, see what's going on, things like that. So it's really going to be... It's going to be a very fine balance getting that debt in the right spot. But I do like this idea of it ticking down slowly at this point. So somebody else did the whole, I'm going to take all the aluminum thing. They're going to try and monopolize that. We'll see how that goes for them. Another guy throwing down scientific in a spot that I was kind of looking at. Okay, and now we're going to be last, unfortunately, because I hadn't bothered to identify all of the different spots that I really would have liked to go. We could try going scavenger and seeing how that works. It's not too bad. It's not great either. Just some weirdness going on this particular game. I'm going to go ahead and buy up all the aluminum I need to expand. And maybe just take a water tile on top of that, since I can't easily take a decent aluminum tile. This guy, in fact, just covered up the aluminum. We're going to have to watch and see if we can pick up an auction for it. I need to sell down just a little bit to make sure I can get that pumped down. And make sure I'm not falling too far behind, which I probably will. I really would have liked this guy's scientific spot. It's pretty great. I was tempted to try and throw down robotic as well, so I could kind of avoid the weird aluminum situation. We'll just have to see what happens. And if the game throws out some aluminum auctions in particular, because those resources are just going to be very strange this game indeed. Let's see. Do we go ahead and hit the upgrade? I'm not so sure. New claim, not an aluminum auction, importantly. But still worth paying attention to. There's a lot of steel down there. Some steel down over here, which is going to make iron kind of weird, actually. It's almost tempting to grab some iron, except I know this scientific player already has some. And I am scavenger, so I don't really need iron necessarily. That was probably too much. But whatever, we'll go with it. I also don't have great access to silicon. It's way down here. So I'm really restricted from a lot of the base resources based on my current starting point, and I'm going to have to watch out for that. Like, that's not a good place to be at all. So we'll just see how it goes. I could try making glass. I'm almost certainly going to have to rotate out of it if I chose to do so. Iron's staying pretty good. No big surprise there. I really should have found it in a place where I could have had a better access to iron. This map was just so weird, though, that it was always going to be pretty strange trying to figure everything out. Let's go ahead and just drop some reactors. We can be pretty sure those will work all right. We could even maybe try and force the situation by overproducing water just a bit, things like that. And I do have the option, if I want to, of being that guy who tries to do something really dumb this game, which I always like being that guy. So let's be that guy this game, because why not? And this is the really dumb thing we're going to do. Because we can, and why not? So I kind of wish, I wonder if it would work, that this could be disguised as a water pump. If I decided to disguise this tile, right? Like if I plant something here and I hide it, it'd be really cool if it decided to look like a water pump. It's true, there are core samples. That is an interesting thing to consider. It says Asimov. Much to the chagrin of Bradbury. But we're going a different route this game. We're trying something else, and we'll just have to see how it goes. Also, if you hear a dying animal in the background, once again, as per usual, it's a liar. Don't listen to it. He's actually fine. His life is perfect in every single way. I guess I need to get rid of these pretty soon. They're not really doing the work I was hoping they would. Which I shouldn't be too surprised by. I mean, there's only 4 people this game. I thought it'd be going a little bit better, especially because we've got people like this expansive player mining from way out here. But then we have people like this scientist who are doing basically none of that, so things to think about. I could just move into power, potentially, with these tiles, instead of working with the electrolysis. I probably should have just planted power in the first place, to be honest. Let's see if we can get at least, like, 160 silicon. Try and go from there. The aluminum's going to be awkward, too.
But there's one up for auction now.
Well, I'm not going to worry about that too much. Let's just sell down a bunch of carbon so we can do this. At least the water's bringing in decent cash. It's not great cash, but it's something. Bradbury was targeted by a magnetic storm. Well, it wasn't me, so that's fine.
Scientific colony expanded.
I'm going to be doing too many things at once here. We'll see how it goes, though. You're the guy who took all the aluminum. You are that man. This is what happens. People don't like that sometimes, and that's okay. People don't have to like it when people do mean things to them. Ugh. Now the carbon jumped up a little bit, so that's nice. Don't really know why. What are you up to, Asimov? Water pump. Oh, he's got a little aluminum right there. Geotherm there. Yeah, that's going reasonably well for him. We're just kind of stuck in the mud right now, since these electrolysis reactors didn't work at all the way I was hoping they would. I'm just gonna do another one. Forget it. Oh, man. Funny. Works for me. I'm just amusing myself at this point is all. Trying to make sure to punish this person because it's silly and ridiculous and I enjoy it. Hopefully the shortage kind of goes our way a little bit. We'll see what happens though. I do have options here, including trying to actually make some money. However, first I think I'll upgrade. Can I turn these back on yet? Ish, kinda? Yeah, I can turn them back on at this point. I am losing power if I do so, but not the end of the world necessarily. At least I pushed to a slightly cheaper expansion. Oh, man. Bradbury doesn't know. He just doesn't know. Doesn't know what's going on. It's crazy. Works for me. Works for me just fine. I really should probably move into chem labs instead of electrolysis reactors if I can pull it off. Asimov has a terrifying amount of cash right now. Going after Herbert. That is scary, scary stuff for some guy sitting back here doing all the surplusing. We'll see how it goes, though. Once again, as per usual these days, I'm just too slow into everything. Mostly because I went for the silly hacker array nonsense, trying to make that work. Which obviously my scientific compatriots also kind of get a benefit out of that, but at least it was silly. Not a lot else to be said for it, but at least it was silly. I should really try and slow down Asimov somehow, if I can. I don't really know the best way to go about that, given we've got Power Surge and EMP this game. I could hit him anyway, with something like Power Surge, which doesn't do a lot, but it gets something done-ish, a little bit, kind of. We'll try it and see how it goes. These buildings are just so bad. They're just so bad. I should have paid attention to the fact that this scientific guy had gone into reactors when I was not expecting him to. It's an important detail. Can't miss things like that. Sell. That lets me put down another power source. Here comes another shortage. Tell you what, I can go ahead and swap these buildings out and then start hacking chems. See if I can make that work all right. There we go. Something at least. Well, looks like other people are into plenty of carbon. I don't really know what's going on there. People are just being super sketchy about that kind of thing, or what, but let's go ahead and start that. Sell down a little bit at this point, because we have way too many. Aluminum is super cheap, as is glass, so if I can get to an upgrade fairly soon, it wouldn't be all that expensive. I received a new claim for random reasons, nobody knows why. Let's go ahead and upgrade. Well, oxygen's fantastic now that we're out of the electrolysis reactors. Shouldn't be any real surprise, I suppose, but still kind of annoying. Herbert is almost dead to Asimov. Very, very close. I don't really know what to do about that. I have 5 claims I need to figure out something to do with. I guess we could try electronics. Just do some of that. Maybe move into an engineering lab. I never really checked out Offworlds this game. They're kind of okay-ish. Maybe. Oh, Bradbury, buying some of yourself right now might not be the best option. There's somebody dying out there. They need our help. I'm just going to go into a research lab, because I can.
Our hackers have compromised the trading.
And Terry's dead Asimov. Oh, did I start another carbon short? Shoot, I meant to start a chem short. I can't click buttons correctly. Oh no, I did start a chem short. And there's also a carbon short on the way. I see. That's very confusing. I was not prepared for this. I'm also burning so much of my carbon that I'm never going to be able to upgrade at this point, and I should have gone into carbon scrubbing or something. So that was a terrible decision on my part. It should have just been electrolysis reactors, for being honest. Nope, not that. Come back here. It never started. We're fine. We're all good. Start with that there. Oh, good. Electronics are actually surplusing, so I'm just going to hop out of those right now and go into the reactors anyway, despite the ridiculous carbon cost. Let's go ahead and upgrade carbon production. Asimov sitting there on HQ3. He's doing a good job. I wonder if I could get to half a Bradbury. Probably not. He's got some cash, not a ridiculous amount. I don't know how much he's actually pulling in successfully right now. The glass is not doing well. He's got some electrolysis reactors. Let's shut those down.
Price manipulation begins shortly.
Do some of that. We'll see how this goes. I do kind of like this idea, maybe, of upgrades being harder to reach. Can you upgrade Terry's HQ? That is a little weird, if possible. I wonder if it does anything, like grants new claims. So we know that's Gameslayer now. Probably. Because Soren, you'd think, would know something like that, right? That's the basic idea there. Soren, you would think, would know something like that. And let's just keep upgrading things. We could upgrade chems again, I guess. How much am I sitting on? 56? That's a start. I mean, it's something. I can maybe push there. 64. I mean, that gives me 3, right? And pretty much anybody, I get 3. Try and make this work. I committed into it. I may as well try and use it, right? The best that I can, at least. I'm the only one making chems, as far as I know, so it puts me in a pretty good spot overall. That 100,000, that is enough to maybe knock someone down. Getting punished. Alright, that's fine. And expected, really, because I have scary amounts of money at this point. Sell down. This is dangerous. This is a dangerous move, but he recently upgraded, so maybe I can pull it off. Unfortunately, this pause came in, which kind of hurts a little bit, but whatever. Actually, I should really cancel this shortage for the time being. Just get all my spare cash together and go for it. Oh man, it's really close, but I'm not quite there yet, and I'm worried that Bradbury could take me, you know, just take it out in the back. Especially because of this freeze. Like, this freeze is really, really hurting quite badly. I'm actually going to spend a little cash here to go that way, maybe a little more there. Just to try and stay in the game long term so Bradbury can't just annihilate me completely. Because once I start going for this, I kind of need to actually get there. Otherwise, I'm in serious trouble. Like, if he can push to 1 before I can get to that last little bit, I am in serious, serious trouble. And that may very well happen with these EMPs happening. Like, if he can push to all of them before I can get that last 1, then I'm in a bad way. So what I do instead, maybe, is I give up on this push, now that I'm getting bought into. Does he have enough? I don't think so. Not quite. I'm really close. It all comes down to this. Things getting real interesting. Alright. I wanted the big one. I wanted the big one. I couldn't quite push to it.
Your stock is
He's
being bought.
real close. He's real close. I'm just going for it, though. No, I don't have anywhere near enough. I thought I had... Oh, no, because I need to sell more is what's going on. And so he's going to get there. It's over. I lose. That's what I get for going for that hard push instead of the easy push. If I'd gone after Bradbury, I would have had it. If I hadn't gotten hit by EMPs, I would have had it. It was close, but it wasn't quite there. I got greedy, and that's what happens. Oh, man, though. We almost made the play work. The play should have worked in a lot of ways, but it just didn't quite. That'll be interesting to see which of these two win, because now at this point, we're basically at a standard game. From what I can tell, for some reason the upgrade button is there for Terry, but it's not. Hold on, if I switch here. Okay, it's here now.
Scientific colony expanded.
What was I, 10,000 short of making that push work? It was close. But still, you can see how much longer it took Asimov. Like, we just hit day 6. We're almost day 7. So almost 6 full days went by before Asimov got to HQ 5 with this particular mode, which I find interesting. Also, we can point out that Bradbury, he bought me, and so all of my tiles, you can see, are Goon Squatted A, and have a timer attached to them, because Bradbury is the only one that can take those tiles. You can see on Asimov, he doesn't have all that nonsense going on because he can't take those tiles. Now, it's really hard to call this game from here. Asimov, it looks like, is at a fairly significant advantage, I would say, actually. First of all, he's scientific, which is kind of cool for him in that he's getting to really make good use of a lot of this territory. You can see he is combination using this really nice spot that Terry had, and a lot of the tiles next to the HQ there. And then also getting to use a lot of his really nice tiles because he bought out a scientific player. They were well positioned for a scientific player, even if he didn't get Terry's tiles specifically. Ooh, Marsquake. All right. There you go. So I still think Gameslayer probably takes it at the end of the day. But we'll just have to see how it goes. Obviously, I kind of ruined Soren's plan a little bit by going for that hidden hacker array. It was fun. I almost made it work. I could have made it work. I just had to get aggressive against him first. And if I had done that, I would have been just fine. But I got to go aggressive against Gameslayer.
Market is online.
Which will just... It's a really easy way for me to lose the game that I do all the time. Just attack the stronger player when I'm just shy of taking him down. If I had bothered to buy a Goon Squad, I would have won. Let's be honest. If I had bothered to buy a Goon Squad, I would have taken down Gameslayer, and then it would have been me and Soren in this last little bit, and I would have had a bunch of extra territory. I would have been just fine. I just should have bothered to buy a Goon Squad and not been an idiot. I could have maybe even shut down some more of Soren's production. There were all kinds of important details I didn't do this game that I really should have. But you know what? It's my first game in a few days. We're trying out this new mode. Nobody knows exactly how it works yet, so I'm kind of okay with it. Soren has a serious stock advantage, but Gameslayer still has the tiles. He has the ability to move into an Offworld if he wants to, which I don't think he will anytime soon, given that food is the best Offworld. It's the most expensive Offworld, and it's already so expensive on-world. Excuse me. So we can see Soren is caught up in terms of upgrades, so he now has the claim advantage, the tile advantage.
Market is online.
But Gameslayer still has a massive cash advantage.
The black market is online.
Very strange game. Very hard to call. Stock numbers are equal. Stock value is not, because Gameslayer has far more debt, which is very important at this stage of the game. And on top of that, the black market this game really tends toward favoring a scientific player from my point of view. He's very resistant to the power surge and the EMP. He has access to the hologram, which is nice, and spies to go along with them. The core sample can play very, very nicely for a scientific player, As we can see, Gameslayer didn't really need it, but what he could do, if he just had a little bit of cash to spend, is just try dropping a core sample under these and seeing if carbon comes up or any other resource to allow him to more easily transition into him. That's pretty great, into those for him. Goon squads are still super cheap, which they really shouldn't be. And mutinies are available, and those can work against a scientific player, but they're not absolutely crucial. So we see steel mills coming down, some more steel production, maybe indicating a desire to be able to push into an off-world if you're ramping up steel production that way. Steel's a good resource to be gathering, don't get me wrong, but... And Soren really needs to start abusing that bonus that he took right at the start of the game with these aluminum tiles in particular, because that is 3 aluminum a second that he is not gathering right now. This tile is empty. Maybe these aren't empty. Okay, this one's a hacker array. I don't agree with that at all. That could just be aluminum. That could just be straight aluminum right now, and it would be fantastic. Turn one of these into a hacker array for all I care. Gameslayer's pushed to 64%. He's about $200,000 ahead of Soren right now. Soren's going to have to work real hard to hold off Gameslayer, and I just don't see it happening. But we'll just see. We'll just see. It can be very difficult to hold off a scientific player in particular. Just because you can't do anything fancy with prices to easily combat them. Like, if a scientific player is relying entirely on food production, well, you can't just go nuts and raise the water price through the roof, right? To counter some of that, force a transition, force him to turn buildings off, things like that. You can't do that because, well, he's scientific and sorry, sucks to be you, right? And you can't really fight back easily with the EMP or the power surge as well. That said, Soren has managed to push to 69%. So he has successfully made a lot of money. You can see he is trying to keep that oxygen price very high. As he's identified Gameslayer moved out of oxygen, he's trying to force transitions. He's got a shortage coming in. All kinds of things like that. And the hacker array play may work out very, very well for Soren in this game and end it. Gameslayer not really using that hacker array. We can see Soren's catching up very quickly with this. The hacker array is a fantastic tool for when an off-world isn't viable in order to end a game, in my opinion. And it'll be interesting to see if Soren can come back into this and finish it out with this particular push. He's very close. There it is. Well, he made the game. Woo! It's going to happen sometimes. You pulled it off. The hacker array. A lot of people don't discount the hacker array. I almost, if I had gone after you instead of Gameslayer, I probably would have had it. But initially, you know.
Zoltar?
What? Yeah?
Zoltar?
Yeah. What's up?
Oh, okay. Cool. I wooed and you didn't respond, so I wasn't sure.
I'm sitting here talking.
Yeah. Oh man, I won it with the hacker array.
Oh yeah, the hacker array is a fantastic building. I went into a hacker array early. It's a great tool, and you didn't like that.
It, right?
Yes.
Oh man, well, good move. That sucked. This was a really interesting game.
Yeah, this was a really good one.
Yeah, I'm really screwed up by putting the hacker array on the aluminum.
Oh yeah, you did.
I don't know.
I called that out instantly, but.
Well, I had the chunk of reactors, the chunk of labs, the chunk of farms. It's like there was nothing that I wanted to chip away at, but obviously aluminum had finally snuck up to a place where it was going to be.
Well, nobody was surplusing it anymore, right?
What's that?
Nobody was surplusing it anymore, so finally it got there.
Well, I saw it. You see holograms of 4,500, so I kind of, you could tell he didn't have an off-world market.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So I figured, okay, how much money is he actually making? I looked through a lot of his buildings, and a lot of them were not actually making all that much money.
No.
He was making plenty off of farms, but like the glass was pretty bad. The electronics was not great, even though it was at 360, because of look at the price of carbon, I don't think he had carbon scrubbing or anything, right?
No,
no patents.
No patents that game.
The one thing he was doing is he had 2 engineering labs, right? So I was assumed he was pretty heavily teched up, but
not at all, as it turns out. No techs whatsoever. Actually,
were those not actually?
I don't think they were engineering labs. I think they might have been hologrammed something else, from what I know. But
what were they?
I don't know. I missed it if they were.
He's in the chat, so maybe you can tell us.
I had carbon income, but I did.
Well, there were only maybe there were 3 hologram spots because there are 45. I had 1 hologram. You had 1 hologram. Wouldn't that have pushed it up to 4,500?
He says he never bought a hologram. Maybe you saw my engineering labs. Yeah, one of them was an engineering lab, and one of them was a hacker array.
Okay, I must have been looking at you.
Yeah,
So he
that's
did
what you were doing.
GameSlayer didn't build engineering labs?
Nope, not that game.
Wow. Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't see them. He just has a bunch of triangles. Triangles all over.
Yeah, I think he never pushed into an end-game tool in particular.
Yeah. So that's the problem. I knew he didn't have an off-world market, and I went through all over his buildings. He wasn't making that much money. But then, like you said, I noticed he had no reactors. So at that point, it kind of became an easy choice, right?
Yeah.
I just sold everything I had, bought up all the oxygen I could, and then I just needed 1 hack. I didn't even have. I guess I had a second one on the way, but the 1 hack did it. Felt pretty good actually. So did anyone get bought out? GameSlayer bought out Terry.
GameSlayer bought Terry, and then
with a majority buyout.
Yeah, with a majority buyout, and then you bought me with a majority buyout.
Right, that was pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, I thought I had GameSlayer. I was 10,000 off. It was because the EMPs came down, and I hadn't bothered to buy a Goon Squad. Which if I just bought a Goon Squad, I probably would have just won the game, right?
Yeah, I think we all screwed up with Goon Squads. It was ridiculous that they were so cheap at that
point.
They were
6,000.
I mean, it's just stupid. I don't know what we were thinking. Did that aluminum come out of a core sample, or did I just not notice that?
Which, the one aluminum tile out there?
The one in the east. Did I just not notice that one? I'm
not sure actually. I saw that somebody had it later, but it was just it's so small. It's such a tiny amount of aluminum.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a difference it really made.
But just having that one other player having aluminum, and I was like, I thought I had it all.
Yeah, it was close.
Although it's
but
funny,
not quite.
What is going on? Well, what happened is you surplus the aluminum, so it didn't become a big deal.
Times.
If you look at my HQ, look, there's an unclaimed aluminum just south of me.
I know. Yeah.
That's weird. I can't believe no one actually claimed that.
I was going for a surplus, right? And so I was just like, I'm not even going to fight over it. It was so far away.
Yeah, GameSlayer says he had that aluminum from the very beginning. So fair enough. I wasn't sure about that play to go for the aluminum, all the aluminum, but I actually landed on top of a high aluminum just to try to take as much off the map as I could.
I saw.
Which was maybe not a great move, but I mean it did work out.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. It's funny. I don't think that the aluminum did not contribute to my winning.
Well, let's see how much you made off of it that game. I don't even know, honestly. I didn't look. You made, you made a good $60,000 on aluminum.
Yeah.
So I think it was pretty. It wasn't necessarily on its own doing work for you, but an extra just 60,000 in your pocket. Same deal with iron. You made 80,000 on iron. Iron was to the point that game where I thought about taking iron for a moment.
Yeah, I took a second source of iron, and that I think made a big difference.
Oh yeah.
And I know I made a lot of food, chemicals. Chemicals was huge, but I wasn't the only person in chemicals. So, yeah. How many shares of GameSlayer did you own when I bought you out?
2 or 3, I think, is what I was down to. I think I might have gotten down to 2. It just took so long to sell out of him, and I couldn't defend.
Yeah, that's the issue.
Oh man.
So you could have protected yourself if you had not put that much money into GameSlayer.
Right, or I could have just killed you. Right. There's no question that I could have killed you.
Yeah, either one of us could have. I don't know which one of us would have got there first. I suspect you would have actually got there first.
If I hadn't bought into GameSlayer, I definitely would have got there first. Yeah. But I made the buy into GameSlayer, so all my money was in him, because I got 4 shares of him, and I had 20,000 left over.
It's kind of a new game here, because basically what you were doing is you were giving me an opening.
I was.
I mean, I was definitely in 3rd place.
I took the gamble to go for a guaranteed win, basically.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Or just lose right now, which is how I play these games. I'll flame out super hard instead of dying slowly most of the time.
Well, from my perspective, I saw you buying him out, and I'm like, well, that's it, right?
I know, and it was close.
Zoltar, or the game's over.
But he saved himself with EMPs on me because I didn't buy Goon Squads, and well, that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so really quick.
The team. Yeah.
Oh, just to explain what was going on, because there was a question about it, is we had 2 new options toggled on during this game, which was majority buyout. So as soon as one person holds 6 stock in another player, that player is bought out, right? And we also had an option turned on where on a player being bought out, their buildings are taken away, their claims are taken away. The player who bought them is basically given their HQ and 5 new claims. And as you can see on this end-game screen, all of the old claims become protected, goon-squatted tiles that they have 2 minutes to take if they choose to. We covered it at the start.
They're not goon-squatted. They're just...
Are they not? They're just...
I'm just using that.
Yeah, it's just the symbol. Okay.
Yeah. It's just to let you know that like you have control of that.
Speaking of, when you hold Z down and you are looking at a goon squad, weird things happen. Oh,
what happens?
Oh, it's just,
you get that. You get like
that
a
square thing.
Weird square thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I really like the new. It looks like you guys have changed the. Trying to think of what to call it. The transparency, maybe, attached to the buildings when looking at tiles. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's nicer.
They've been working on that. Yeah, that definitely is an improvement.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. That was the best. I've had mixed feelings about the destroy mode. It's something that the team really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
I felt uncertain about it. I made some tweaks to it to make it something that I was perhaps found palatable. And what I do like about it is this was one of the first games I played where with the end game, there wasn't so much stuff on the map that I couldn't take the time to keep track of what Game Slayer was doing.
Right.
Like if he had just gotten all of Terry, I guess, and it is a bug, you shouldn't be able to upgrade the colony after you buy it.
Can you upgrade it, or is that just kind of showing that symbol there?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe Game Slayer can answer that. Did he upgrade?
No, he didn't. It stayed at HQ level 3 the whole time. So.
Okay.
From what I saw,
I thought I actually disabled that. So unless he can say that he was able to, I'm just going to assume that that's not working. But yeah, I mean, you get a decent number of claims. I mean, in a way, you can kind of look at this as like this is level 6, right? You can upgrade to level 5, and now the only way to get more claims is to buy out an opponent.
Right. It's a way to get another upgrade. It's kind of a way to look at it, or a different upgrade.
Yeah. Plus more off-world markets potentially.
Yeah.
If it makes a difference. So I like that the game wasn't so crazy at the end. And it's hard to evaluate because we have essentially 2 huge changes going on at the same time.
Yeah.
And
but I don't know, they kind of mix together reasonably well in some way. You know, because like one of them makes buyouts a lot easier, but the other one makes buyouts less valuable to reach. So I don't know.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
I was concerned with the majority buyouts was the games would suddenly become too short. But that didn't seem to be a problem for this game. It could be that it kind of really messes up the 1v1 game because there is no snowballing problem
in 1v1. Really, yeah, you just
because
one guy wins. Well, and I don't know if it would be appropriate for 1v1 even necessarily. Maybe it would. I don't know. On the other hand, if you're going to do that in 1v1, you could just make it so the player has 6 stocks. If you wanted to shorten the game in any fashion, I don't know. There are ways to do that.
It does give the choice of you can either, are you going for a short game or are you going for a long game, right?
Yeah.
Because in 1v1, if you buy up your own stock, it's not a bad move.
Right. It can be totally acceptable.
Yeah, all you're doing is saying, like, I want this game to last
longer. Exactly.
And, people are in different situations, different times, for when they want a game to go short or long. So it's possible that it could work.
Yeah.
So I should mention something else, which is that there has been a significant change to robotic. I was actually very tempted to go robotic, very tempted with the spot that I started with here.
Yeah.
But, oh, wow, there's 2 irons. Those weren't there. I think someone core sampled those. There's 2 irons just north of me. I think someone core sampled those, which makes sense because they realized that was the location on the map that had
iron,
had aluminum.
Oh, okay, aluminum. Gotcha.
Because although the train is normal, so it didn't really actually work out. But that's just kind of interesting. But yeah, I was really tempted to go robotic because there's a change to robotic, which is on my never-ending quest to make robotic balanced is. Now the rule is just if a building gets an adjacency bonus if it's attached to any other building that provides it's an input.
Right.
Now that's
including
already the
power
case,
now.
But yeah, exactly. Now that includes power, and that is really fun to play with because it leads to all sorts of really crazy arrangements.
Right.
And you can easily imagine the situation. You got the geotherm, and then you just start surrounding it with buildings and. Like I had a situation in the game earlier today where, I had like a water pump next to 2 reactors. So they were getting the bonus, but then suddenly, the price of, oxygen and fuel, or rather the price of water went way high, so those reactors were a bad move. So then I just deleted the reactors and put 2 solar panels there, which is like a way to basically increase your production. There's a way to, and they're the only guys who can do this. I think there's a way to increase the production of a primary resource without having to claim something else, right? So they play pretty interestingly now. I feel like they're viable now.
Well, they were starting to really push toward viable with just the last patch, even like that aluminum change.
Right.
Just opened up a world of possibilities for them.
Sure.
In particular, because of their strength, I think, when buying out opponents is just so much stronger than everybody else's. Because they don't have to pay life support, right?
Yeah, I just knows what game Slater wrote. I want to win faster 1v1s so I can catch up on the quick match leaderboard. That's another consideration, how fast the game actually can. I actually have a feeling that with this power change, it'll actually be too much. I think Robotic might be actually overpowered right now.
It might be.
But we'll see.
Speaking of, by the way...
The simple thing to change is that aluminum, but go ahead.
When I was on the internal build at one point, I planted on a few silicon tiles as Robotic and had 6,000 silicon.
Yeah, there was a factor issue bug.
Gotcha. It was an interesting game, certainly. But
yeah, internally, the numbers that the game keeps track of are actually all multiplied by 1,000. It's called like fixed point math for programmers. And because I'm actually using integers, not floats. And so when you have, like right now I have 3 oxygen, what I really have is 3,000 oxygen, and it just always divides it by 1,000, whatever it shows to the player. And this was, in that situation, I just forgot to do I forgot to divide it. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, do you have any other thoughts about it, or should we try another game?
No, it was interesting. I wish I'd attacked you instead of Game Slayer, but I have the excuse that, well, it's a new game mode, so...
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how... I mean, just certain things you assume are no longer going to be the case, right? I mean, I think people should be strongly encouraged, but I expect people will start buying up their own stock more.
Yeah, I mean, if you can secure 5 of your own stock,
right,
it automatically says that you are safe until the usual buyout time.
Right. And I think that's fine. That's kind of something I want people to do anyway.
Yeah.
It prevents ruin. I think it will lead to less ruined games where someone if someone leaves themselves open like that and they buy up a bunch of shares to someone else and someone else takes advantage of that, it's just kind of bad for everyone, So. My hope is that this will sort of establish a new general strategy, which is you got to at least buy a few shares of your own stock. Otherwise you're very vulnerable.
Yeah. Which I was that game. Of course, so was Game Slayer, and he almost got punished for it.
Yeah, you both were. Right?
Well,
Game Slayer made the run on Terry, and I was like, wow, he doesn't really have much of his own stock, but he was just too expensive, so I had to go for you.
I remember that's how I used to play, literally all the time.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you should have just run for me.
I should have.
And that's what I want. I want the game to be where the second place player makes a run on the third place player as opposed to trying to hit the first place player.
Right.
That's better for the game overall because it's fun to have the 2 players at the end of equal size going back against each other.
So I've got a 6-man hosted at this point.
Oh,